Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I represent the United States. Those are the words spoken by Department of Justice attorneys at the start of every federal trial. Each of us represents the United States, the entire United States. More importantly, we represent every one of the citizens, all ideologies and political affiliations, all races and religions. We represent supporters and critics. We represent victims and criminals. Our oath of office begins with a promise to support and defend the Constitution. The point is to establish a legal duty that overrides loyalty to anyone else. And in the final clause of that oath, we swear to well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office. You can only fulfill that charge if you understand the duties. I served under 5 presidents and 9 Senate-confirmed attorneys general. 10 if you count Bill Barr twice. We're not quite sure about that. I spent most of my career outside Washington, but I worked at headquarters 3 times, 4 years in the early 1990s as a trial attorney, 4 years in the early 2000s as a supervisor, and for the past 2 years in my current job. I frequently speak about the inspiration I draw from 3 aspects of this main justice building: the art it contains, the people it employs, and the principles that it represents. Every floor of this building contains reminders for me of heroes, mentors, and friends. They taught me that political considerations may influence policy decisions, but when it comes to individual cases, this department stands apart from politics. Attorney General Jeff Sessions told us to follow regular order and ensure the nonpartisan administration of justice, and that is what we did every day. And that is what the department will continue to do under Attorney General Bill Barr. So what is it that secures liberty in America? It's not just the words of the law, it's about the character of the people. When you exit this great hall and walk into the courtyard of the main justice building, if you look up, you'll see a Latin inscription that reads, "Privilegium obligatio." It means that when you accept a privilege, you incur an obligation. People who earn the privilege of joining this department accept the obligation to seek the truth, serve the law, and faithfully follow our policies and procedures. Former Judge Richard Posner put it this way: the Department of Justice wields enormous power over people's lives, much of it beyond judicial or political review. With power comes responsibility, moral if not legal, for its prudent and restrained exercise. And responsibility implies knowledge, experience, and sound judgment, not just good faith. Our Justice Department employees undergo rigorous screening interviews and periodic background checks. With few exceptions, they demonstrate great intellect and integrity, patriotism and wisdom, courage and resilience. No organization with 115,000 employees is error-free, but our virtuous culture and our disciplined procedures promote objectivity and fairness. We are required to comply with an array of laws, regulations, and ethical rules. We maintain experienced, professional, nonpartisan internal watchdogs to investigate credible misconduct allegations. And we face external scrutiny by judges and bar authorities. We correct mistakes, and we punish wrongdoers. For us, the rule of law, it's not just a talking point. It's an operating principle. And the rule of law requires us to ignore partisan politics, to tune out the news cycle, and to base our decisions on credible evidence. Many people have the luxury of dismissing facts that are inconsistent with their pre-existing beliefs. But we face the exacting scrutiny of the federal courtroom. That imposes a powerful discipline. We can't prove our cases with hearsay or anonymous witnesses. We need to produce eyewitnesses. We need to satisfy the rules of evidence. And we need to meet our burden of proof to the satisfaction of a neutral judge and an unbiased jury. Do you know how difficult it is to persuade 12 random citizens of anything We need unanimous support to win our cases. And we face those rigorous rules because our allegations carry severe consequences. Those rules motivate us to seek only the truth. Pursuing the truth requires us to keep an open mind and to avoid confirmation bias. The truth may not match our preconceptions, it may not satisfy our hopes, but truth is essential to justice. The most important memento in my office is a plaque. It reads, "Don't tell me what I want to hear, just tell me what I need to know." And I enjoyed the support of an exceptional team, which Attorney General Barr and Sessions have referenced, an exceptional team that followed that advice. We stayed the course, and we accomplished what we set out to do. There are many people in this room who stood with me to defend the ramparts of justice. When we are in the right, we keep moving forward. But our confidence is not naive. It flows from an appreciation of the history and the traditions of this great institution. One of the most important lessons for litigators is to begin with the end in mind. Decide what evidence you need for your closing argument and stay focused on it, whatever the ups and downs of the trial. Trial lawyers understand that the most dramatic moments may have very little impact on the final verdict. We learn to ignore the fleeting distractions and focus on the things that matter. Consider what happens when you use a smartphone map to plan a trip. Many things can go wrong during your trip. Traffic may be unexpectedly heavy. Accidents can obstruct your path. You might make a wrong turn. But whenever unexpected challenges occur, the program calmly recalculates and keeps you on a path to your destination. I'm grateful to the friends and relatives who joined me on this journey. My wife, Lisa, made many sacrifices in support of my public service, particularly over the past 2 years. My daughters, Julia and Allison, who, thanks to Jim and the EOUSA team, you saw quite a bit of, which I did not expect. My daughters cheerfully tolerated the disruptions that arise when a parent is in the arena. In fact, congressional hearings are now one of Julie's favorite forms of entertainment. I kid you not. Senator, that's House, not Senate. And Allie enjoys reminding me that I was mistaken when I told her that Deputy AG was a low-profile job. Well, my parents, Robert and Jerry Rosenstein, never wavered in their confidence. Lisa's mother, Alice Barsoomian, is another steadfast supporter, and she arrived today with my sister-in-law, Alona Barsoomian, and her children, Veronica and Patrick. And there are friends here from elementary school, high school, college, and law school, judges and defense attorneys who shared some of my most memorable trial experiences, colleagues and supervisors who guided me, administrative employees who kept the work flowing, law enforcement agents who spent nights and weekends with me interviewing witnesses, prosecutors who joined me in the trenches. These are the men and women of federal law enforcement. They are some of America's best, brightest, and most patriotic citizens. They deserve our admiration and our respect. Thank you. I have to admit that some of the agents I worked with are retired, but I appreciate those of you who came back for this ceremony. At my confirmation hearing, I pledged to defend the independence of the Justice Department, to protect public safety, to preserve civil rights, and to seek justice. I promised to draw on my personal experience with law enforcement officers and to promote public confidence, and I fought for those goals every day. Government officials sometimes face pressures to compromise principles, perhaps even to trade virtue for the appearance of virtue. But we should exercise caution whenever unpleasant circumstances tempt us to disregard timeless principles. It is most important to follow the rules when the stakes are highest. Sticking with traditions is usually the best course. Not always, but usually. After all, that is why they became traditions. Thomas Jefferson reputedly gave this advice: on matters of style, swim with the current. On matters of principle, stand like a rock. The challenge is to distinguish between principle and style, between the things that matter most and the things that matter least. Our Justice Department team focused on important goals. We used results-driven management to improve the department's efficiency and to enhance the impact of our $28 billion budget. We made rapid progress on the law enforcement priorities that Jeff Sessions set: reducing violent crime, curtailing opioid abuse, protecting consumers, improving immigration enforcement, and building confidence in the police, while preserving national security and strengthening federal efforts in other areas. And this department is not just about law enforcement. We represent the government in civil lawsuits. We counsel other agencies. We house prisoners. We administer grants. We collaborate with local, state, and tribal authorities and with international partners. Our influence on America is broad and it is deep. And that influence gives us a unique platform to foster civility. Speaking from this stage on April 1st of 1940, Attorney General Robert Jackson, who else? Attorney General Robert Jackson said that sensitivity to fair play and sportsmanship is perhaps the best protection against the abuse of power, and the citizen's safety lies in the prosecutor who tempers zeal with kindness, who seeks truth and not victims, who serves the law and not factional purposes, and who approaches the task with humility. We follow that mandate every day. If kindness and humility are in short supply outside the walls of justice, that's all the more reason for us to set a good example. I joined the Department of Justice because I believe in the mission. I stayed because I believe in the people. I watched you pursue justice with ceaseless devotion, often at personal sacrifice and sometimes at physical risk. It's a privilege to work with such honorable, principled, trustworthy public servants. Some of my role models were famous political appointees, but many were career public servants like David Margolis, who was renowned for his irreverence and for his love for this department. David gave me some advice about integrity a quarter century ago that stayed with me to this day. I want to thank his wife Debbie and his daughters Kim and Sherry for being here with us today. And in my final moments on this grand stage, I want to leave colleagues who remain behind with these words from another former Attorney General, Edward Levy. As law enforcement officials, you hold a unique and difficult position of enormous responsibility to our society. Many citizens learn what kind of country this is by watching you. And the things they learn, Levy said, include what kindness and decencies we honor as a people. I hope you do your part to carry the baton of justice with kindness and decency and to pass it safely to the next generation. And when you walk the halls of justice, I hope they echo for you with the voices of heroes, mentors, and friends as they do for me. To those who taught me, those who worked beside me, and those who stood behind me, I'm grateful for your friendship, and I'm thankful for your accomplishments. I leave here confident that justice is in good hands. It's in your hands. Thank you and farewell.